Obviously, you're here to hear about proven techniques for driving remote workers towards success, how to overcome the most problematic areas of remote working and maximize productivity and engagement. Now, at any time, you can always call me on my direct dial below, obviously not now, please, or email me. My email's at the bottom, and obviously our website details are at the bottom as well. So let's crack on through this. Remote working, there are obvious, some of these benefits are obvious, but it's worth pointing them out. For employees, there is less commuting time, there's more autonomy, greater flexibility, and obviously a better work-life balance. I'm kind of presuming some of you are employers. So what's the benefit to employer? Well, higher productivity, increased motivation, reduced staff turnover, and of course, reduced need for office space. And we have all seen that in recent times due to that dreaded P word. I might mention a bit more in a couple of slides. So what's the key? Well, obviously, employee happiness is key. Why is that? Because happiness drives engagement. And engagement directly influences quality of your service, your business's service, of course, client customer satisfaction, better sales, high profit, improves your company image, and of course, makes your stakeholders or shareholders or people who have a financial interest in the business happier. And this, of course, leads to a healthier company. It's worth noting here that this is all a virtuous cycle. All those aspects on this page affect each other and end up with better profit, better company image, higher engagement from your staff, and so on. The modern worker and workplace, since the dreaded P word, the pandemic, remote working is now expected. Gone are the days for a job for life. People are far more discerning about who they work for and how they work. I don't know if you've heard that term, the Great Resignation, but that was where people were basically telling their employers to stick it and going and getting better jobs elsewhere, sometimes not even, or dropping out of the workforce completely. Modern communication is far more text and video based than old-fashioned face-to-face. We really do need to embrace the generation Z now, or Gen Z, whatever you want to call it, ZZ. Millennials are well and truly in the workforce, and they have a different way of working. Gen Z, it is like my son, my 19-year-old son, he never picks up a phone, he never calls. It's all text, and he watches videos, he doesn't read stuff. The other thing that's worth noting is privately owned kit is often far superior to company kit, and this is really no longer tolerated. People expect their company kit to be of a similar quality to what they're used to using at home. If they don't, you end up with crossover and boundaries of private and corporate data, because bringing your own device into the company workplace is really a bit of a security nightmare. You may well think it's saving the company money, but it introduces all sorts of other hidden costs. And of course, your corporate data gets scattered to the winds if you're not careful. Things such as sharing data through OneDrive, Google Drive, WeTransfer, Dropbox, you name it. If it's shared through, if it's easy, that'll be taken advantage of, and you therefore lose touch of where all your corporate data is. By the way, I will send out a recording to this at the end if you've missed the beginning. Did you also know that all employees now have a legal right to request flexible working? And that's not just parents and carers. And you have to have a pretty good reason to turn it down. And you can then end up in some form of employment tribunal if you're not thorough about this process. Little graphic on the right. It's a bit out of date. It's taken in 2021, that survey, but 40% of people said the perception of working from home since the start of the pandemic was 40% said substantially improved. Now, it's worth mentioning this book. Actually, it's definitely worth a good read, but it's a surprising fact that money is not a motivator, and it has surprisingly little effect on performance. There have been various surveys and tests done on this where they were paying people different levels of reward for carrying out different tasks. Obviously, some small reward, a medium reward, and a relatively high reward. and found that actually the higher the reward, the opposite actually occurred. It had a negative effect on performance. They also then realized, well, maybe it's because the difference between the rewards were not great enough. So I think they took it to India and offered the equivalent of a week's pay, something like a month's pay, and 3 months' pay as incentives. So big, quite big financial incentives, and it was the same result. So what is the driving effect on, given by the title in the book, Drive? What is the driving effect on the performance? Well, there are 3 key motivators. The first one is autonomy, and that's obviously the desire to be self-directed or to direct your own life. Mastery, the urge to get better at stuff, making progress. Purpose, a reason behind what you're doing. When people can direct their own time, so when they do what they do, their own tasks, what they do, their team, who they do it with, and their technique, how they do it, the result is high performance. Likewise, when people can see progress, mastery towards being better at something, the feedback creates a virtuous circle, and same result, high performance. And of course, when people can see their contribution to the bigger picture, so they have a sense of purpose in what they're doing, same result, high performance. So the modern employer gets this. Forget about rewarding people with financial incentives. It's all about empowering them to be autonomous, allowing them to head towards mastery, and giving them a sense of purpose. And really, the modern employer should shake off old-fashioned notions that home workers are skivers. Most people, there are very few lazy people out there, but people on the whole, 99% of people are not lazy. They are usually hard workers and striving for self-gratification in those 3 things. You also need to realize there are intangible costs that need to be considered. I'm going to just bring in a blog article from our website here. This is talking about, it's actually called Employer Cost Calculator, and you can find it on our Insights page by scrolling down and loading more, and you'll find it about 2 or 3 pages down. But the average employer, and this is research carried out by Currys, well, how accurate was that? Well, I guess there are others actually, but 46 minutes a day of lost time seems high. This is due to technical and problems. This is what the cost was. This calculator can obviously put in different amounts, but assuming an average salary of about 35,000, roughly 5,000 overheads, you can change this if you want. I'm going to leave 1 employee in the moment. Pension, NI, this is what they cost a year, but the 46 minutes, that's actually costing you in wasted wages 4,500. Now, even if that was only 10 minutes a day, that's still about £1,000 a year. So you can see that saving your employees 10 minutes a day actually saves you wasting £1,000 a year on their wages. Now, £1,000 is easily a new PC. One of those every year, well, you only need one every 3 to 5 years. So there's an example of hidden costs. There are all sorts of other hidden costs within your business, but it's worth actually going to our website and fiddling with these figures. Even if you don't think that there's that much overhead on a person, it's still, that doesn't make a huge amount of difference if your office overheads are lower. But anyway, I won't dwell on that too much. The other thing, of course, you should do is demonstrate that you have your employees' best interests at heart. Oops. Let's go to the next slide. Or quite simply, they will go elsewhere. Other things that are important, of course, are the right working environment. You must have documented processes and procedures. The amount of time wasted to things or reinventing the wheel, doing things over and over is obviously significant, and it gives people a sense of pride if they can follow something and do it to a standard. Effective tech tools, well, I'll come to that a bit more because, of course, we're a technology company, so I'm obviously going to focus on that a bit. Company culture and values is important. You've got to really have the right internal culture, and your values should probably be up on a wall. What are your company values? What are you striving for to make your company excellent and your team great. And of course, a great leadership team. So not leading by being a boss, you need to be a bit of a mixture of a boss and a manager. Yeah, that's probably enough on that slide. Here are some kit ideas and thoughts. Now, this is just a sort of list that I've thrown together, but it's things that are worth thinking about. How do you deal with people who are working in more than one location? Well, the obvious answer is a laptop with a docking station. I'm actually sitting in front of a Surface Pro, which I love. They're expensive, but I have a tablet that I walk around with and can work in very little space on the train, even, in really odd locations, it's lightweight, but I plug it into a docking station. I've got two big screens here, 27-inch screens on the surface in front of me. It's an ideal piece of kit, but of course it has a cost attached to it. You can do it with two PCs, probably the cheapest way. You can even remote into PCs, but that's just a pain in the neck. And really, you do need a suitable desk. You need to think about people at home and how they're working, and I'll come a bit more to that in a second. Data. Email has been in the cloud. Most people are using email in the cloud now and have been for a while. But your data being where your users are not is a pain. Remoting into systems, VPNs, it's servers, it's all kind of history, really. And the cloud is a great answer. The cloud is works beautifully when people are working in disparate locations, needing to work on data collaboratively, even editing the same Word document or Excel spreadsheet, things like that. Can be limited though, especially for people who have big data requirements like architects or design companies or media, where they need to get their hands on big files. There are options out there. And of course, being a techie, I could go into that in huge detail, but I will not here. It's worth noting that servers really are expensive. You get stuck in a 3-year cycle, 3 to 5 year cycle, and they're history. Servers are history. It's time to think about various cloud options, or if you must have a server, at least put that in a virtual server in a data center. Mobiles and tablets. So whose are they? Nobody really wants to carry around two mobiles, one for the business, one for the company. How do you secure them? That is a complete pain. Where is the boundary between the corporate data and private data? It can be done. There are ways of doing it. It's a GDPR compliant and a Cyber Essentials requirement, actually, that you should not have corporate data on private devices, or if you do, it should be segmented. Again, I won't geek out too much on that. Telecoms as well, of course. Incoming landlines. Well, they're no longer landlines because it's mostly VoIP, and of course, there's going to be the big switch off of traditional phone lines coming soon. Diverting to mobiles is expensive. Private mobiles, of course. Again, giving all your stuff company mobiles, that's also expensive, and they don't want to carry two of them. An app is preferable to VoIP. An app is preferable, and VoIP landlines. So routing traditional 020 or 01 numbers into a phone system that can be answered anywhere. Multiple locations is possible. You can have handsets ringing all over the world if you wanted. You can have hundreds of them if you had 100 mansions in southern France or something. Microsoft Teams is still in its infancy, but is an option. Do everything in Teams. It's a little limited though. For example, I was talking about my kit here, Surface Pro. I've got an old-fashioned handset that I can just, it's blurring the background, but obviously pick up and make calls. I also have a handset in my office, and I also have an app that runs on my phone. And if the app's logged in, well, both handsets ring anyway, the one in the office and the one at home, so I can answer either. And if I had the app logged in on my phone, which I do when I'm out and about, that rings also. So you can imagine you could have multiple handsets ringing wherever you are, even in a field at a festival. Other thoughts that I should point out, health and safety still applies to the home worker. The employer has the same health and safety responsibilities. Someone is ringing my doorbell. I will be back in 1 second. I'm embarrassing. Right. Health and safety still applies. Employer still has the same health and safety responsibilities whether you're working at home. It's worth noting that insurance is not usually needed. There's no special insurance needed for people working from home. The ability to claim for costs, for example, heating, electricity costs, well, that's a bit of a tricky one. You can allow your staff to claim £26 a month. Obviously, plus equipment, you can provide them with the equipment to work from home. Any more than that, you have to prove that their payments are covering actual expenses and are not just some kind of dodgy expenses, sort of over-egging the pudding. I like dropping in this word information technology at this point. We're talking about information. IT obviously stands for information technology, and for years we've been concentrating on the technology, and this is kind of what I'm doing here. But really, nowadays, it is more about the information. We don't really care too much about the technology. The devices we can now consume the technology on are very varied, and they're sort of pretty platform agnostic. Macs, PCs, mobiles, tablets, Android, iOS, doesn't really matter. So we need to change our way of thinking a bit and concentrate a bit more on where our data is and how we're getting to it. And that goes back to my talking about data where people aren't and how to deal with that. I realize we're nearly 20 minutes in. We're coming to the end here, but so I won't drag on too much longer. A quick word, though, on digital transformation. If it was a journey, where do you think your business is on this journey? Really modernizing your business is a constant iterative process. It will never be completed. You must really chip away at it constantly. Here's a little graphic that we got from the Royal Institute of British Architects, because a few of our clients are architects. 37 people believe they're on the journey. They've been on it for some time, but it's not complete. And obviously, very few people think they're well on the way to completing the journey. Most people have still not fully embraced the word digital transformation and kind of just do it by accident. And of course, that's where we can step in. I'm going to also mention a little bit about our business and IT review process, and the fact that you don't need just IT support. You need a strategic business partner. Our iterative and ongoing business and IT review process gets your business into the best possible shape and never stops. We get under the hood of your business, asking for regular input on your business goals, your business challenges, your IT goals, and obviously any other things, any other major initiatives or changes that we can help with. The whole idea is we're getting you to use clever systems and tools to help you save time, save money, and suffer less stress. This paragraph basically just says that we've been in business for 20 odd years, and we can help with wider business related issues. It can be through our own experience or by putting you in touch with other people and companies we've met along the way. The idea behind this is that we help you build a strategy and planning and a roadmap for the next 3 to 5 or more years. And it helps your business with that one thing called planning that is so hard to find the time for. That's just a little graphic showing you road mapping and the tool we use. So, in summary, remember what drives your staff and the 3 key motivators, that autonomy, mastery, and purpose thing, not financial reward. But of course, with autonomy, mastery, and purpose does go the need to think about how you can empower them to be those 3 things. So don't skimp on anything that can affect your employees' perception of their value to you. This is really as a false economy, and they will feel unvalued if you buy them secondhand kit or don't do things properly with regards to their technical needs. Have a think about where your hidden costs lie. It's a complicated process. That things that are intangible are really hard to measure. But that example of employee cost calculator and that shocking £1,000 a year for just 10 minutes a day, and you can lose half a minute times 20 during the day by waiting for something to happen. Of course, get help with the tech side of things from someone like us. Make sure you have an iterative approach to improving on all aspects of running a business. And don't forget about your company cultures and values. My next, and I like introducing this little quote from John Ruskin. It's unwise to pay too much, of course, but it's worse to pay too little. When you pay too much, you lose a little money, that is all. When you pay too little, you sometimes lose everything because the thing you bought was incapable of doing the thing it was bought to do. It's a good quote. There's a bit more to it, actually, but I like that quote. It's just kind of about doing things properly, really. Any questions, please pop them into the Q&A in Zoom. I don't see any there, so hopefully you found this really useful. Of course, if you're feeling shy or don't have any time now, please email me. My email is at the bottom there. There's my direct dial too. There's lots of useful information on our insights page on our website. Just go to ingenious.co.uk and click on insights in the top right-hand corner. I will, of course, email out a recording or a link to a recording of this on our website. Please, questions. I'll sit here for another couple of minutes, but thank you very much for coming, and I hope you found this valuable.